Welcome to Dinar Daily, and thank you for joining us for this significant update regarding the global currency landscape. A tectonic shift in global economics rarely emerges from a single document, yet the latest discussions surrounding the November 2025 edition of the Iraqi Gazette suggest that this publication has achieved exactly that status. For years, the Gazette has been considered the nation's unassailable legal authority, the final word on legislative and state matters. Now, its publication of a sweeping, government-ratified currency reform decree is being viewed by analysts across multiple continents as the ignition point for what is being termed the new dinar era. This is not merely a localized adjustment, it represents a monetary transformation poised to reshape Iraq's economic destiny and fundamentally challenge conventional models of sovereign currency management. The magnitude of this event cannot be overstated, as it moves the conversation from theoretical possibilities to documented statecraft. What makes the release of this Gazette extraordinary is not merely its specific content, but the sheer breadth of its policy implications. The document introduces a complex array of policies that appear to blend traditional monetary tools with advanced digital integration, strict biometric compliance, asset-backed guarantees, and carefully phased redemption windows. For the first time in modern history, Iraq is presenting a unified, legally binding path to resolve historic exchange disparities while synchronizing domestic and international valuation models. For decades, rumors surrounding the Iraqi dinar circulated relentlessly in financial forums and geopolitical circles, often lacking substance. However, until this moment, those discussions remain suspended between speculative optimism and institutional skepticism. The release of this comprehensive framework effectively ends that ambiguity, replacing whispers with printed legal text. We are no longer dealing with unofficial leaks or unverified chatter from anonymous sources. This development represents a codified, state-endorsed framework outlining the exchange structure, the valuation mechanism, and the re-entry pathway for the dinar into the global financial system. Investors worldwide, particularly those holding the Iraqi dinar, Vietnamese dong, and select Zimbabwean instruments, have interpreted this decree as the clearest signal yet that Iraq is preparing for a sweeping foreign exchange activation cycle. The long-standing debate over whether Iraq would modernize its currency has now been overtaken by a much more urgent and practical question regarding readiness. The focus has shifted entirely to whether participants are prepared for the operational and regulatory demands of this new system, which is far more rigorous than the cash-based economy of the past. The November 2025 publication of the Iraqi Gazette is not merely another routine economic announcement to be filed away. It represents a national declaration of monetary sovereignty. The decree confirms several core objectives that are essential for the nation's recovery, starting with the elimination of dual rate inconsistencies. Iraq's historically fragmented valuation system, where parallel market rates diverged sharply from official central bank postings, is explicitly being dismantled under this new order. The new framework mandates that domestic and international exchange rates must converge through a transparent pricing mechanism, removing the arbitrage opportunities that previously plagued the market. This unification is a prerequisite for international acceptance and is now written into the fabric of the nation's financial law. Furthermore, the document outlines a robust preparation for cross-border liquidity. For the first time since the early 2000s, Iraq has expressed a clear and documented intent to return to foreign exchange parity models based on real value metrics. This includes assessments backed by tangible resources, signaling a move away from fiat-only valuation. This restoration of international parity is presented as policy, not possibility. The Gazette outlines specific steps to reintroduce the dinar to global markets through a modern digital interface capable of interacting with regional settlement platforms and international monetary fund reporting structures. The clarity provided by the decree is unprecedented. Rather than alluding to vague future reforms, it provides detailed instructions including step-by-step exchange protocols, verification procedures, and jurisdictional authority. One of the most heavily discussed portions of the Gazette is the introduction of a tier-based redemption architecture. This system is described as a necessary mechanism to maximize economic stability while ensuring equitable participation across different demographics. The tiered redemption system is organized to prioritize stability and security. Tier 1 is designated for Iraqi citizens, while Tier 2 covers expatriates. Priority is clearly granted to Iraqi nationals, reflecting the government's commitment to economic reconstruction from the inside out. Citizens are slated to have the earliest access to redemption appointments and rate selection, ensuring that the domestic economy benefits first from the increase in purchasing power and liquidity. The framework continues to address the international community with specific categorization. Foreign holders, primarily located in the United States, Canada, Australia, and parts of Europe, form the third category in this tiered architecture. For the first time, the Gazette acknowledges the existence of these holders and outlines a formal, government-supported pathway for processing them. Meanwhile, Iraqis living abroad, along with certain Gulf region residents, fall into the second tier. Their appointments are set to be managed through embassy centers and internationally partnered banks. Though speculative in nature, this architecture has captivated international observers because it appears to introduce a controlled, based liquidity release, minimizing inflation risk while maximizing strategic capital inflows from abroad. A fourth category, often referred to in private financial circles as Tier 4B, includes vetted non-institutional participants. This group purportedly consists of vetted individuals with documented histories of IQD acquisition through compliant channels. While Iraq does not use the specific term contract rates in the public text, the decree suggests adjusted valuations for certified participants. This implies elevated rate structures that are tied to restricted appointment windows, fingerprint scans, and biometric verification. This rigorous vetting process indicates that the state is looking to reward compliance and transparency, effectively filtering out illicit actors or undocumented currency that cannot be traced back to legitimate origins. A global standard is emerging to address concerns about counterfeit notes, fraudulent transactions, and identity mismatches. The Gazette mandates a comprehensive biometric verification system for all exchanges. This includes serial number authentication through blockchain-based registries, facial mapping, and multi-factor identity confirmation at government-approved institutions. The use of biometrics is far more than just a security measure. It signals Iraq's alignment with digital compliance frameworks now being tested across the BRICS alliance, ASEAN nations, and various Gulf states. This technological leap ensures that every dinar exchanged is accounted for and that the identity of the exchanger is irrefutably established. For American holders, reports indicate that this biometric verification will likely be conducted as participating banks or designated redemption centers, though the Gazette emphasizes that each participating nation will implement its own security layers. The underlying requirement for digital identity proof remains constant. This marks a pivotal moment in the history of the currency. The dinar is transforming from a physical currency associated with wartime instability to a digitally anchored, globally verified financial instrument. This transition necessitates a shift in mindset for holders, moving from simple possession of physical notes to navigating a complex, digitally secured financial environment. Perhaps the most anticipated element of the decree is its detailed plan for the phased retirement of Iraq's large denomination notes, specifically the infamous 30,000 dinar notes and other 3-0 categories. The Gazette's language indicates a multi-year exchange allowance, a structure and withdrawal timeline, and guaranteed compensation for valid notes. The decree specifies that holders with documented purchases through recognized dealers will receive priority verification. This feature explicitly rewards compliance and discourages black market acquisition, providing a safe harbor for those who follow the rules. This strategy aims to provide immunity from sudden devaluation shocks that often accompany currency revaluations. This shift signals Iraq's transition toward a leaner, internationally compatible currency structure, rather than abruptly removing notes from circulation. A strategy that could cause domestic panic and economic seizing. Iraq is opting for a gradual, predictable approach among the banks most frequently named in these financial narratives. The world took notice when the Gazette referenced cooperative foreign jurisdictions responsible for facilitating exchanges. Within hours of the news, analysts in major financial hubs like New York, Chicago, and Singapore began circulating reports suggesting that major banks were preparing their systems for IQD verification integration. In this developing scenario, institutions such as Wells Fargo, J.P. Morgan Chase, and HSBC are rumored to be implementing digital note verification scanners, updated Know Your Customer (KYC) systems, and foreign currency settlement modules consistent with Central Bank of Iraq protocols. While the Gazette does not name these banks directly, as this remains a developing narrative, yet its references to foreign institutional coordination have fueled widespread anticipation. The implication is that the banking infrastructure is being quietly upgraded to handle a unique asset class that requires specific technological authentication before it can be converted into other fiat currencies. Under this complex architecture, U.S.-based holders fall into structured appointment windows potentially linked to strict compliance timelines. Additional verification, including background checks and enhanced due diligence, may be required for those seeking elevated rate options. The Gazette's publication has prompted tax specialists to warn investors about the legality and reporting requirements of exchanging foreign assets under U.S. jurisdiction. Issues such as FATCA disclosures, FBAR reporting for foreign-derived proceeds, trust and estate implications, and capital gains classification are now at the forefront of the conversation. Analysts believe the IRS may eventually establish a dedicated foreign currency reporting category to accommodate the scale on filings. Holders lacking proper documentation, such as receipts, invoices, or proof of origin, may encounter significant delays or reduced eligibility for elevated tiers. This highlights the critical nature of record-keeping in this new era. Meanwhile, the global implications extend far beyond the Middle East. Two other nations, Vietnam and Zimbabwe, have emerged as focal points for parallel currency narratives. The State Bank of Vietnam has adopted policies mirroring Iraq's pre-announcement sequence, including gold accumulation, enhanced trade agreements within line zones, and currency stability measures to support export dominance, leading to speculation about the dong's future value. Simultaneously, Zimbabwe's introduction of the gold-backed ZiG system has fueled theories that legacy Zimbabwean instruments may be eligible for redemption under asset-backed clauses within African monetary treaties. Interest in the IQD, VND, and ZWL has exploded, with search engines reporting unprecedented spikes in queries regarding exchange protocols. Together, these movements suggest an emerging alignment between resource-backed currencies and digital verification frameworks, shaping what many are calling the new multipolar currency era. This trend indicates a global move away from purely fiat systems toward those anchored in tangible commodities and secured by blockchain technology. Creators producing content on documentation checklists, appointment scheduling, and compliance protocols have seen exponential growth as the public seeks guidance. CO researchers note that channels using keyword clusters like IQD exchange framework and immediate redemption steps are experiencing rapid algorithmic elevation. This surge in interest is driven by the activation timeline, a concept embedded within the legal decree. The transformation is no longer perceived as a mere rumor, it is a global conversation. The Gazette's release did more than outline policy, it effectively set the world on a countdown to a new economic reality. Embedded within the legal decree are references to an operational schedule that financial theorists have labeled the activation timeline. This is a sequence of events designed to transition Iraq's currency from dormant to globally functional. While the Gazette does not publish exact times, references cross-linked with central bank directives paint a picture of a methodical rollout. A key date in this narrative is the system's integration day, where major banks across the United States, Europe, and the Gulf reportedly synchronize their digital verification systems with the CBI's updated biometric and serial authentication platform. In this scenario, IT specialists describe a sweeping overhaul of internal banking architecture. This includes new scanning devices calibrated for polymer notes, digital keys assigned to compliance departments, and secure ports open for encrypted foreign currency data streams, non-public forex platforms, accessible only to institutional desks, allegedly upload rate placeholders tied to the new valuation model. A handful of analysts have leaked that internal numbers fluctuate significantly, igniting global speculation. The financial world senses the shift while markets remain outwardly stable. Institutional analysts whisper that the switch is being wired into the grid. Following integration, financial forums erupt when vetted holders begin receiving encrypted appointment notifications. Embedded links route them to secure portals where they can select specific windows for in-person verification. These values remain invisible to retail traders, but for those who monitor dark pool liquidity movements, the pattern is unmistakable. A major realignment is on the horizon. This phase is followed by the activation of regional redemption centers. These facilities, ranging from large bank branches to repurposed government buildings, are staffed with compliance officers, auditors, and foreign currency examiners. The process aligns with the Gazette's reference to restricted rate access windows, which analysts interpret as time-bound opportunities for adjusted valuations. Participants describe structured, multi-step appointments involving biometric scans, ID verification, rate eligibility assessment, serial number authentication, and settlement pathway selection. The International Monetary Fund reportedly dispatches auditors to verify that Iraq's foreign exchange activation aligns with global standards. The experience is described as a hybrid of banking, immigration, and military processing, efficient, precise, and tightly controlled. Behind the curtain, a complex web of negotiations involving the Gulf Cooperation Council, financial ministries, and Western regulatory bodies stabilizes liquidity inflows. The resource equation plays a massive role, with Iraq's growing gold reserves and long-term petroleum contracts forming the backbone of its valuation strategy. Economists classify this model as resource-backed digital sovereignty, a system designed to give Iraq leverage in a multipolar currency landscape. Digital integration enables real-time global settlements, allowing Iraq to determine the dinar's destiny unilaterally and unwind decades of foreign influence. Perhaps the most seismic change is Iraq's plan to pilot oil contracts denominated in digital dinar. This single decision, if pursued, would rewire pricing models across OPEC, Asia's energy corridors, and global trade platforms. While still speculative, the mere possibility has pressured other producers to explore resource-backed digital alternatives. If Iraq succeeds, the dinar could become the world's first commodity-tethered digital settlement currency operating at a national scale. This sets off a chain reaction across geopolitical arenas, forcing U.S. institutions to face an internal dilemma regarding monetary autonomy and bond market stability. As the narrative concludes with a dramatized chronicle of the first week of activation, we see bank lobbies across the U.S. appearing calm while managers initiate internal protocols. The documentation divide becomes the defining factor of this new era. Those with organized receipts, notarized affidavits, and digital backups move quickly through the system, while others face delays. The Gazette's message is unambiguous. Success in the new system depends entirely on preparation. Holders must operate with precision, maintaining serial number logs and government proof of residence to navigate the historic transformation of the global monetary system.